Today I'll be showing you how to paint the Marvel Crisis Protocol core set. At least the heroes and villains you get in the set, which you get a lot, including Doc Ock, Captain Marvel, Ultron, Spider-Man, Crossbones, Red Skull, Black Widow, Baron Zemo, Iron Man, and Captain America. I really don't get why all these figures aren't sold separate, but whatever. After putting them all together, which most of them are way harder than they have to be, I primed them gray, except with Iron Man, which I primed with gold. Then I layered on some polished gold by Vallejo. Then for all the red areas, I used Flesh Terror's contrast paint to keep it all shiny and nice. Then I painted his base with neutral gray, which for some reason I always like to call natural gray by Vallejo. And then all of his arc reactors with Lutheran blue by Citadel. Then shade it with Athematic blue contrast paint. And then for the blues on Spider-Man, Captain America, and Captain Marvel, we use Crystal Blue by Army Painter. Paint some black areas with whatever black paint you have. Base coat the white on Captain America with Wolf Gray by Vallejo. And then for some reason I just dry brushed it all on to Doc Ock because I just had it out. I don't know why I don't do this. Also, I lost a pod to one of his tentacles, so it's a lot stubbier than the others. On Black Widow, Captain Marvel, and Captain America, paint their skin with Basic Skin Tone by Vallejo. And then on Crossbones, paint his skin with Beige Red. Paint Gory Red on Red Skull's skull. Mornfang Brown on all the leather details on Captain America. And then Mephiston Red on all the reds. Shade the blues with Blue Tone by Army Painter. Paint white details with whatever white paint you have. Shade brown details with Strong Tone. And then I painted some details on Red Skull with Dark Angel's Green by Army Painter. And then his Tesseract with Baffaroff Blue by Citadel. And for some reason I also painted his collar with neutral gray. Don't do this, I eventually go back on it. But I do use it to paint everyone else's base. Use chainmail silver on all the silver areas. And in this photo you notice that I lost one of the pouches for Captain America because they were way too small and should have just been molded to the leg. So instead I used one large pouch from a Space Marine kit, which I cut in half and gave the other one to Crossbones, and then gave the holstered gun that's usually meant for Crossbones to just Cap. Then I mixed some Basic Skin Tone and Light Skin Tone by Vallejo for a highlight on Captain America. And to keep the shield metallic, I painted the red areas with polished gold first, and then put on top of it Citadel's contrast, Blood Angel's red, and then for the blue, it's Telestar blue, Citadel contrast paint. And then I highlighted the areas that are meant to be white, like the star and the inner stripe, with just silver by Vallejo. Paint some of the bases with Pavement by Apple Barrel. And then on the grading on Red Skull, I painted some Tuscarora fur to have it rusty. Dry brush some neutral gray on top of the pavement on some of them. For Baron Zemo, we start with his leather by painting it Thundia Brown by Citadel. Highlight Crossbones flesh with Barbarian flesh and shade it with Flesh Wash by Army Painter. Paint Doc Ock's flesh with light flesh, as well as highlighting Black Widow's, as we paint the metal on Doc Ock with Lead Belcher. Base coat some areas on Baron Zemo with Wraithbone or Pale Sand, as well as painting all the purple areas with Alien Purple by Army Painter. I added some texture paint to Spider-Man's base, so this step when you put some Flat Earth by Vallejo on it can be optional. Back to Captain Marvel, we paint her flesh with light flesh, and then her hair with Wraithbone or Pale Sand. And I did a little light dry brushing of Flat Earth on her base. Paint Doc Ock's suit with Moot Green by Citadel. Paint some gold areas with Retributor armor. Highlight some red with Pure Red, and then shade it with Flesh Wash, including paint some Pure Red into Ultron's lights. Go over the white areas on Captain America with whatever white you have, shade it with Apothecary White. Paint Doc Ock's hair with Mornfang Brown, and base coat the yellow areas with Wraithbone or Pale Sand. Paint some areas on Baron Zemo with Warlock Purple, which is more of a pink, and go back over his gold with Polished Gold. Cover the Wraithbone on Doc Ock with Iandin Yellow, Citadel Contrast Paint. Shade the green with Green Tone. Shade the silver with Dark Tone. Shade the red areas all over with red tone, as well as flesh wash on all the skin you haven't shaded already, and the gold with it. I did some minor highlights with Steel Legion Drab on Baron Zemo's coat. I painted some areas that would be lights on Doc Ock with Moon Dust by Army Painter, a very, very pale yellow. Then I highlighted the rest of the yellow on his suit with Flash Gets Yellow by Citadel. And after a clear varnish on all of them, I finally got them done. These figures were fun to paint. I just wish they were easier to put together. And people who don't care about certain characters can just buy these separate, but whatever. I overall enjoyed working on these figures. But what do you guys think? You think they turn out alright? Do you not think that? Do you own any of these? Do you have your own way of painting them? Let me know in the comments below.